Alright. Am I actually live? I'm gonna give us like a few seconds because I just don't trust it. Every time it says it's live, it deletes like 5 seconds. Okay. I love you. I've missed you. I'm sure. I don't know when you'll watch this, but I'm sure by that point I'll miss you because even having you here on camera, I still miss you. This is one of the nights in the hotel. You went to bed. I was gonna go to bed with you, but I'm still wide awake. So I figured I'd make some more videos so that you have something else while I'm gone. So back to Where the Red Fern Grows, part 3. We're on chapter 5. On arriving at the depot, my nerve failed me. I was afraid to go in. I didn't know what I was scared of, but I was scared. Before going around to the front, I peeked in a window. The station master was in his office looking at some papers. He was wearing a funny little cap that had no top in it. He looked friendly enough, but I still couldn't muster up enough courage to go in. I cocked my ear to see if I could hear puppies crying, but I couldn't hear nothing. A bird started chirping. It was a yellow canary in a cage. The station master walked over and gave it some water. I thought, anyone that is kind to birds surely wouldn't be mean to our boy. With my courage built up, I walked around to the front and eased myself past the office. He glanced at me and turned back to the papers. I walked clear around the depot and again walked slowly past the office. Glancing from the corner of my eye, I saw the station master looking at me and smiling. He opened the door and came out on the platform. I stopped and leaned against the building. Yawning and stretching his arms, he said, "It sure is hot today. It doesn't look like it's ever going to rain." I looked up at the sky and said, "Yes, sir. It is hot. We sure could do with a good rain. We need one bad up where I come from." He asked me where I live. I told him, "Up the river a ways." "You know," he said, "I have some puppies in here for a boy that lives up on the river. His name is Billy Coleman. I know his dad, but never have seen the boy. I figured he would be in after them today." On hearing this remark, my heart jumped clear up into my throat. I thought surely he was going to hop right out onto the depot platform. I looked up and tried to tell him who I was, but something went wrong. When the words finally came out, they sounded like the squeaky old pulley on our well when Mama drew up a bucket of water. I could see a twinkle in the station master's eyes. He came over and laid his hand on my shoulder. In a friendly voice, he said, "So you're Billy Coleman. How is your dad?" I told him Papa was fine, handed him the slip from my grandpa had given me. "They sure are fine-looking puppies," he said. "You'll have to go around to the freight door." I'm sure my feet never touched the ground as I flew around the building. He unlocked the door and I stepped in, looking for my dogs. I couldn't see anything but boxes, barrels, old trunks, and some rolls of barbed wire. The kindly station master walked over to one of the boxes. "Do you want box and all?" he asked. I told him I didn't want the box. All I wanted was the dogs. "How are you going to carry them?" he asked. "I think they're a little too young to follow." I held out my gunny sack. He looked at me and looked at the sack, chuckling. He said, "Well, I guess dogs can be carried that way, same as anything else. But we'll have to cut a couple of holes to stick their heads through so that they won't smother." Getting a claw hammer, he started tearing off the top of the box. As nails gave way and boards splintered, I heard several puppy whimpers. I didn't walk over. I just stood and waited. After what seemed like hours, the box was open. He reached in, lifted the pups out, and set them down on the floor. "Well, there they are," he said. "What do you think of them?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. All I could do was stare at them. They seemed to be blinded by the light, but kept blinking their eyes. One sat down on his little rear and started crying. The other one was waddling around and whimpering. I wanted so much to step over and pick them up. Several times I tried to move my feet, but they seemed to be nailed to the floor. I knew the pups were mine, all mine, yet I couldn't move. My heart started acting like a drunk grasshopper. I tried to swallow and couldn't. My Adam's apple wouldn't work. One pup started my way. I held my breath. On he came until I felt a scratch